Hi, this is Green Philosophy. Today I'm going to be sharing a talk by Shahid Bolsen. This is originally called A Message to the People of Israel. I repurposed it to have a new title, The Internal Contradictions of Israel. This is terminology borrowed from Marxism. The content covered here is sophisticated. Some people might try to call Shahid Bolsen or myself anti-Semites. This is not our intention. If anything, Shahid exposed the irony of the West's anti-Semitism and condemns it while highlighting the cooperation that existed between Arab Muslims and Jewish people for hundreds of years. Constantinople comes to mind. Free trade between different religious groups and religious tolerance were celebrated for hundreds of years in Constantinople. In the modern era, Muslim nations have not attacked Israel, a fact confirmed by Chris Hedges' recent essays. Everyone knows governments operate in the service of the powerful to the destruction of the vulnerable. Everybody knows that war causes senseless destruction and hurts women, children, and the poor disproportionately more than the rich. We want to see neither Israelis, nor Iranians, nor Palestinians slaughtered. That said, the average Israeli is operating from more of a place of privilege than the average Iranian or Palestinian, which is why we possess more sympathy for those populations. This talk is intended to be an analysis of the political, historical, financial, and societal factors that make the continuation of Israel's society as it is currently constituted impossible to perpetuate. I made mild changes to some of Shahid's words for the sake of clarity and to eliminate redundancies, but the spirit and passion of Shahid's original presentation remains. You took a bucket and you called that bucket Israel, and you filled that bucket with the blood of Palestinians. You filled that bucket with the blood of the Lebanese. You filled that bucket with the blood of Syrians. You filled that bucket with the blood of Iraqis. You filled that bucket with the blood of Iranians. You filled that bucket with the blood of Africans, even Afghanis. You filled that bucket with the blood of Egyptians, obviously. You used that blood to start painting on the ground everything that you said was yours. You painted with their blood what you wanted to claim as your territory. Israel has painted itself into a very tight corner. Israel has painted its way out of having feasible options. All the while, Uncle Sam was cheering you on to keep its bloody bucket full. Uncle Sam is collaborating with the Europeans, the same people that sent your people to the gas chambers. The Americans and Europeans are the same team that abused and ostracized you, that mocked and tormented your people for centuries until they tried to annihilate you under the Nazis. That's the same team that has been watching you paint yourself into a corner with the blood of the people in the region. You were foolish enough and you were deluded enough, and you had an inferiority complex about those Europeans and those Americans, and you were desperate to appeal to them. They hated you since they knew about you. They didn't suddenly have a change of heart. They hated you then, and they hate you now, and they've hated you the whole time they were watching you and cheering you as you got yourself trapped in a situation you can't get yourself out of. There's no viable exit for you now. The West has been egging you on for more than a year for you to do things that will irredeemably destroy your reputation as a people. The damage is irreversible. By the time we know about the real numbers, the Gaza genocide is going to number 100,000 people that you've murdered. They've turned you from being victims of the Holocaust against you into perpetrators of genocide. What makes you think that the perpetrators of the Holocaust are not trying retroactively to justify their crimes by turning you into genocidal monsters? You ought to think more deeply. Do you understand that nobody feels sorry for you? That was your currency before, but nobody feels sorry for you now. People are posting AI English translations of Hitler on YouTube, and they aren't being taken down. They are being shared. People that used to say things quietly amongst themselves are saying Hitler had a point, and he did what he did for a good reason. Forget Holocaust denialism Holocaust justifications are becoming popular because of your actions. It's because of nothing else but Israel's actions. It's because of the genocide. It's because of the unhinged, unrestrained, illegal violence that you've committed across every border in the region. Attacking Syria, attacking Lebanon, attacking Iran, attacking Iraq, attacking Yemen. Your great American and European cheerleaders have applauded you and have funded you into damnation. They have applauded you. They have funded you until you become a hideous spectacle of a nation that the whole world despises. And you think that America and Europe are your friends? Until now, you think these are your friends that saved you from the Nazis. They aren't doing anything but carrying on where Hitler left off. They've just made their approach more sophisticated. Hitler used an axe, while they used a scalpel. They've ruined you. After more than 600 days of inhuman savagery in Gaza, inhuman savagery of it all live streamed, when the most bigoted, neo-Nazi, white supremacist, openly Jew-hating demagogue, when he claims that your people are satanic and demonic, what is a good-hearted person supposed to say after what we've seen? They've turned you from Holocaust victims into genocidal killers in the public mind. All the blood you are spilling is only whitewashing them of what they have been doing for centuries. You are justifying what they did to you, and because you are insisting that Judaism and Israel are one and the same and bear the shame of what Israel has done and Israel is doing. They have boxed you in, and you let them box you in. Let me tell you about your Iran situation. First of all, your whole claim all these decades, your whole rationale for why the United States had to keep giving you money, had to keep giving you weapons, which you were useful to launder American taxpayer money with the help of the military-industrial complex. Why nobody is supposed to object to that. Why nobody is supposed to object to the billions of dollars that went to your defense instead of their own schools, their own hospitals, their own roads, their own bridges, their own infrastructure. The whole reason that everyone was supposed to go along with that without any complaint was that you were supposed to be in a perpetual existential crisis because you were surrounded by the hordes of angry Arabs who wanted to drive you into the sea, violent, angry Muslims, so you were constantly under threat. And because of this, people thought of you as Holocaust victims. So of course the American people have to protect you, even if that really just means protecting defense industry profits. But the rationale worked because everyone thought poor little Israel was surrounded and in danger. Egypt made peace with you. Jordan made peace with you. The United Arab Emirates made peace with you. Bahrain made peace with you. Sudan made peace with you. Morocco made peace with you. Now even Saudi Arabia says that they are willing to make peace with you. Lebanon is willing to make peace with you. Syria is willing to make peace with you. Even Indonesia, the most populous Muslim country in the world, on the other side of the world, they are willing to make peace with you. Hezbollah has been decapitated, and even Hamas is willing to step down. In practical terms, that means disarming and disbanding. They are willing to let another authority take over Gaza. There's nobody else that can claim threatens you except for Iran. Apparently you are acting like you want to dismantle even that alleged threat. So nobody is going to be left to even justify why you need to be protected anymore. I know you are trying to resuscitate ISIS in Syria. You think now that you want to go to war with Iran. You know you can defeat Iran on your own? Your own officials, your own military has said as much. You know you need America to do that. But you understand America entering that war means regional war, and you are in the region. I know you don't care what happens to any other country in the region, but if a regional war kicks off, you better believe that Iran is going to unload everything they have on you. If you think that America is going to be worried about protecting you in that scenario, you are sorely mistaken. The only thing that America is going to care about protecting, if that happens, is their own bases and their own interests in the Gulf. America is going to defend Saudi Arabia. They're going to defend the United Arab Emirates. They're going to defend Qatar because Iran is going to strike them too. No one is going to be trying to save you. Why should they? You don't have oil. You don't control vital shipping routes. What do you have? Your whole economic model is parasitic. Remember, Donald Trump is transactional. Think that through. The GCC gives Trump potentially trillions of dollars. Meanwhile, Israel does nothing but beg for money. No one wants to protect you. If America enters the war, you ought to understand that it would only make things worse for you, not better. Can't you see that? Tel Aviv is going to be flattened. Your ports will be vaporized. Your little natural gas fields are going to be on fire. Your cities will be demolished, and yes, your people are going to flee. Your people are fleeing already. They're fleeing already by the tens of thousands. Some say 100,000 already sailed off on boats and yachts to Cyprus. They're all escaping the possibility that maybe they'll be hit by an Iranian rocket after just 1 week of conflict. You must be out of your mind if you think America entering the war and escalating the conflict is going to be good for you in any way whatsoever. The war will finish you. Don't you understand that? Construction in your country already stopped 600 days ago. When your buildings get damaged, they are staying damaged. Do you understand? Do you have any idea how much more damage Iran can absorb than you can absorb? Their country is 70 times larger than you. 70 times. Their army is at least 4 times larger than yours. And their soldiers aren't on TikTok. They're not quitting. They're not refusing to serve. They're not getting taken off duty for mental problems. They're not committing suicide. They're not killing themselves. No, it doesn't even matter how much damage America could potentially do to Iran. If this goes on for even 6 months, you're looking at an economic toll on your economy of upwards of $165 billion. That's 35% of your GDP. Double that if it goes on for a year. And it can go on for a year. If it's a full-blown war and Iran starts to get replenishments of their own artillery from Russia, China, North Korea, etc., if they reactivate their proxies, it can go on. Your people all have somewhere else to go when things get bad. Iranians don't. Do you understand? Iranians don't even have to carry out a mass casualty attack in Israel. They don't have to focus on that. All they have to do is land one rocket on one building, and everyone in every apartment of that building is on a plane to New York. They're on a plane to Paris or to Moscow. They can literally depopulate your whole country just by targeting infrastructure, because at the end of the day, you are all pampered Westerners. You're not ready to die for the Zionist cause. Be serious. What do you think happens when they escalate this war? What do you think when American soldiers start dying for you? Americans don't even want to see American soldiers overseas supposedly dying for their own country in Iraq, Afghanistan, with the dubious rationale that they give the soldiers and the soldiers' families. You notice that Americans didn't even send their own soldiers to fight in Ukraine against their own arch enemy, Russia. What on earth makes you think they are going to be willing to fight and die for you, when they don't want to even send their own soldiers to die supposedly for their own country in various military engagements around the world? What makes you think they aren't going to get Ukraine out of existence by your best friend, Uncle Sam? They're willing to fight Russia down to the last Ukrainian. What makes you think they're not going to be willing to fight Iran down to the last Israeli? You're not reading the room at all. If the United States does escalate and get into the war, and they send their own soldiers, how does that play out? Think that through again. Now your country is going to be responsible for the blood of Palestinians. Arabs and mothers across the United States are going to hold you responsible for the blood of their sons and daughters. The West is doing nothing but setting you up to be hated and disposed of. You should be able to see it. I'm surprised you can't, honestly. Perhaps you are so in love with the people who tormented you and tortured you for centuries that you just can't see it. Your people are going to flee. The whole world is going to hate you. So where exactly are they going to go? We know the United States took in Nazi scientists after World War II, so they will probably be willing to take your top tech people also. But what about the rest of you? What about the rank and file? The only way they can escape if they completely deny being Israeli. I know that most of them are atheists, and they only claim their Jewishness to claim access to Israeli citizenship. Once they escape a war-torn Israel, they won't even want to claim that anymore. You stupidly insisted that Israel and Jewishness are one and the same. That leaves them with only one choice: to disavow themselves of their Israeliness. In so doing, they are going to have to repudiate their Jewishness. Netanyahu and his neocon white supremacist backers are destroying you as a nation and as a people. They're destroying you because they hate you. They've always hated you, and you know this. There's no way that you don't know this. You've got into bed with Christian Zionists, and you and I both know that Christian Zionists' motivation is to see you slaughtered in their end times Armageddon fantasy. The main backers of Zionism in Europe were the most Jewish-hating segments of the power structure. This has to be the most epic series of bad choices that you have made in history. The biggest irony is that the only countries that would still be potentially safe would be Arab Muslim nations that you have been saying want to destroy you. Meanwhile, you literally collaborated with people who have done nothing but try to destroy you for hundreds of years. The Muslims and Arabs have always been welcoming and hospitable to you. They always gave you shelter, they always gave you safe haven, and now their countries are the only countries that might be willing to host you again. They're the countries that are going to rebuild Israel after people flee, after your people flee. Think about that. After the war that you think you want so badly, the Arabs and the Muslims will be the ones to rebuild. Who will fund its reconstruction? The Arabs will pump in reinvestment. The people who partnered with you in your self-destructive war against the Arabs and against the Muslims, those people are going to be partnering with the Arabs in those reconstruction projects. You are being tricked in every single way. Don't you see that Trump's own crowd, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Steve Bannon, they have not been subtly reopening the lid on the repressed right-wing, anti-Jewish vitriol for the last 600 days. No one is taking the fall for this. Do you understand? You're taking the fall. No one should have seen it coming better than you. You've watched them over the past. You've participated with them every single time they've participated. You've participated with them every single time they've turned on someone that they've committed crimes with. You thought for some reason they wouldn't do it to you, when they have the absolutely longest record of hating your people. They did it to Saddam, they did it to the Shah, they did it to Mubarak, to the Contras, but you thought they really loved you. Is that it? You thought they really loved you with all their Nazi scientists, their KKK, and their dream of end times Jewish annihilation. You thought they'd never turn on you. You thought that they were spreading all of that propaganda about how powerful AIPAC is, and how the Jews control the media, and how much Jews control finance, and how Jews supposedly control the world. Are you telling me you thought that was all flattery? Did you think it was all pillow talk? They were setting you up to take the blame for everything they used to do, for all the crimes they commissioned you to do on their behalf. They are going to sell you down the river, just as they have done to every other accomplice they have ever duped to commit heinous crimes on their behalf. You thought it was going to be different with you because you're Western, you're white, and you're European. Open your eyes. So are the Ukrainians. If you look very clearly, you can see that America has thrown the entirety of Europe under the bus. At least the Europeans are starting to get some level of cognizance after 3 years of very obvious American-European divorce proceedings. The Europeans are starting to understand that there's America and there's the rest of the world. And that is it. Why do you think that these people are your friends? Now you are begging for the United States to enter your war with Iran. Trust me, that is the absolute last thing that you need to have happen. You are so used to the idea that escalation is always to your advantage. That's not the case anymore. If there is escalation, this just brings you even faster to devastation. What on earth do you have to protect? Think about it. What is there to protect when you know how the real game works in 2025? Here's the calculation. A war-torn Israel is twice as attractive to investors as Israel intact. You know how investors see a war-torn Israel, how they see any war-torn country. They see opportunity. They don't see tragedy. They don't see collapse. They see opportunity. There wouldn't be just rubble. There would be a liquidation event. You get distressed assets. You get regulatory suspension by the government. You get panic sale. You get state desperation. You get privatization writ large. That's war dividend. Before the war, Israel had bloated, expensive asset prices. Real estate in Tel Aviv, like real estate in Manhattan, was expensive. The technology sector was overheated. Regulation was heavy. Civil resistance was loud. You couldn't touch most of the markets unless you were embedded in those markets. After the war, everything flips. Property values plummet. Owners liquidate. The government fast-tracks permits that would normally take years. Zoning permits vanish. It will be viewed as an emergency conditions reconstruction. The state needs you. Israel is going to hemorrhage public funds to rebuild, but of course, it can't fit the bill. They don't have that kind of money. They spent too much. Israel will sell their future off in bonds, in land, in long-term infrastructure deals. Who has the resources to buy all of that? Again, think it through. Foreign capital, especially from the Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC, countries like Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and United Arab Emirates are going to flood you with capital. Not for peace, but because devastation lowers resistance to Arab money and Arab ownership. In peace, gentrification gets protested. In war, gentrification gets welcomed as salvation. Every Israeli by 2030 is going to be telling his Arab landlords and Arab investors, I was a peacenik back in the day. I was against the genocide. I protested Netanyahu. I was an anti-Zionist. That's what Israelis are going to be saying in 5 years. If you think about how much more attractive Israel is going to be to investors after the war. Now think about whether you want America to escalate. If pre-war Israel scores a 3 out of 10 on the return on investment reward scale for cold capital, post-war jumps it to 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. Now you aren't competing with legacy oligarchs anymore. They all left on their yachts. You watched them go. You're not stuck in bureaucratic paralysis because you are the savior investor, the angel investor. And the very people you hyped up as your mortal enemies are going to be taking over with the help of the people who promised to protect you against the same people. Welcome to Reconstruction. It's de-Zionization on an industrial scale. When you escalate this war, you accelerate the end of your colonial project. Do you have any idea how much richer Arab countries are going to get after your delusions of genocidal grandeur? It's going to be the Arabs' money, not loans, not gifts from the United States. It'll be Arab land and Arab sovereignty. You know the saying, the meek shall inherit the earth? The definition of meek is those who are gentle, those who are humble, those who are disciplined in their strengths, those who do not assert themselves through violence. The right way to say this is that in the gospel, the people that are blessed are those who are patient or humble, under power, under restraint. For the land will be theirs. That's what it says. You may not believe the Christian side of the Judeo-Christian tradition, but the Torah says the same thing. Those who are not arrogant shall inherit the land. They shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. We all know that none of these verses refer to the Israelis or to the Americans. The nation that it refers to is the Muslims. A war with Iran is going to happen with or without escalation. It will happen with or without America entering the war. This is the trajectory that is happening. The easy way of diplomacy with the Arab nations gives Israel a softer landing. Doing it the hard way is going to make for a harder landing. This has been my dramatic reading of Shahid Bolsen's A Message to the People of Israel, Part 2. And my title is The Internal Contradictions of Israel, or The Vulnerability of Israel. I look forward to your questions and comments.